Hey.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander. I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, we have my guest co-host, Kelly. Are you there, Kelly?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hi, and we have my other co-host, Barbara. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Good. Now, our guest today is Anne Ireland. We've had you on before, and it's sort of interesting because the impression that I've always sort of gotten from you is that you've held back on telling your story for an awful long time because you didn't feel it was the right time. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, yes. For real. 100% accurate there.
Okay. Why don't you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay. Well, because let me just kind of start back, okay? When I was a child, I grew up in a sub area outside of Detroit, okay? And growing up around children with all different kind of backgrounds and homes and behavioral taking place in the houses, and not knowing what's going on, and people coming and going to school, and what I was able to do as a child, I was very, very interested more on not so much what people were doing like in school. I always, from birth, I would want to say that, because I used to lay in my crib like at night, and I remember I would watch the room as a baby. I don't even remember where I was laying in my crib even. And I could see energy, and what I would do is it would look like little colored fuzzies almost. It's hard to explain. Well, after a while, I started to realize that there was a vibration. It's hard to explain if you don't know quantum physics, but I started to feel the energy and the vibration in a thing called frequency, okay? Now, we could go all over the board on this, and we can be on this show all night on these different topics. But you have to think way outside the box, because I'm trying to explain something we're talking 46 years of experience. I'm going to cram into a show, okay? So imagine if you grew up and you weren't focused on things like reading or what other children were doing. You knew that you were different and unique because you observed everybody different, not by like so much, kind of like viewing things as an introvert. You know what I mean? I was more of I paid because I was always aware of energy and the flow and the feeling and the vibration, I guess, from birth, that I always kept a close eye. I sat quiet. Like if you look at baby pictures of me, I was very angelic and, blonde, blue-eyed, quiet, that pure look. And because I sat quiet because I was always busy observing. And because I grew up in a very rough neighborhood, okay? When I was young, I was around gangs. I've been shot at a bunch of times. I mean, the day I came to Florida, I had 27 bullet holes in my house. And I had a pound of marijuana for Kurt Cobain, okay? And that was the second day in a row. I should be dead today. I'm a walking testimony. But I do have a lot to say because and why my story is so unique and why I waited is because when I grew up, I was raised in a house where my dad was straight off the boat from Amsterdam. He came to America on a sponsorship. So he was never Americanized. So I was raised by a mother who had preacher parents, and women weren't allowed to preach back then or ministry work, okay? So that was kind of like something you did in your own home. So my mom was a preacher's kid, and I was taught to be a European father and preacher kid for a mother. So I was raised to have these old school, I will call them old school now comfortably, and this is another reason why I bit my tongue till now. Because religion, now it's provable that you have to apply science, okay? And if you really want to talk about Jesus and we want to get real, Jesus was a yogi. When Jesus was talking about getting balance, mind, body, and spirit, and about the 7 stars and all that, he is talking about the chakras, okay? The snake, enlightenment, the pine cone, is the pineal gland. This is all things that they don't talk about in religion. And as a child, I started to connect the dots because I could feel vibration and frequency when I would be around other kids. I knew I was already different, so I stood quiet, okay? And nowadays you have people and you say, parents, because of false teachings, they say, you have a child and you're like, you need to get out, you need to play, you want to be around your friends, and you got to go make friends, and you got to go be this person, and you got to become this person. What people don't realize is everything is vibration and frequency and energy. Everything is energy. So, like, I have an energy field, and you have an energy field, and what happens is you ever, go into a room and you just feel a good vibe? That's because you're flowing the energy, okay? It's not like you got a sixth sense or this or that. I mean, there's so many things out there now. The reason why I'm speaking to is because I've listened over and over and over and over for 20-something years and sat silent for good reason, because I wanted to get educated before I opened my mouth on some things, because I knew that these things weren't being taught in school from elementary school. For example, I was in kindergarten, okay? And I'm friends with this woman. I don't know if she's still with us, but I'm friends with her daughter even, and she is. But my kindergarten teacher became best friends with my mom. And how did that happen? Because the old school teachings, okay, in school are wrong. And I knew it from the age 4 because of my unique, my childhood and how, and I can go more into that, but that's not for a show for today. This is about DNA and, how about water, and water has memory. A baby is born in what? An amniotic sac. If your body is made out of 80% of water now, and you're carried by your mom, right, for 40 weeks, and then you're birthed, out of a sack of water. When you want to apply DNA and you want to talk about a person's making, if water has memory, and that's a study, and we could talk about that too. I work with Dr. Emoto, and he's nationally known for about manifestation with water, okay? Water, if you're made out of 80% of water, for example, and you're drinking a glass of water, and you're angry and you're upset, and that vibration is in your hand, in your body, you're thinking it, you're feeling it, you are drinking a bottle of water, you're actually putting that vibration into your body. So imagine if you had a bottle of water and you spoke love and joy and beauty, everything love-based, okay, is always the best way to do. You are actually taking that water because it's vibrating already in you. You created it and manifested the thought. Everything starts with a thought, right? So you're applying that. For anything to manifest, there first has got to be an idea or a thought. Okay, you can manifest anything you want, and I do teachings on that because I've done that, okay? Provable things, like, I'm going to write some books about this because I couldn't understand. I was self-taught about energy because back when I was younger, I was so focused on what I was learning that I thought reading was stupid. I was too busy observing people and watching and learning what I know today, because I always knew that the teachings like in school were wrong. I knew, for example, when I was in kindergarten, back to that, my teacher, because back then it was wrong if you wrote with your left hand. So everybody they tried to teach in school, you have to write with your right hand. Well, I was 4 years old and I refused to write with my right hand. And today I'm an artist. I paint murals and I can paint with both at the same time and paint the exact same picture on both sides. I've been doing charity work
Wow.
for over 20 years. Yeah, I'm an amazing artist, and I'm a confectionist, like stuff that you would not believe. I can do anything I put my hands on, and you know why? Because when I was a child, I had went through things in my life, and I learned because put it this way, if you learn to read, you become book smart, you can be an A student, you can get skill, you can build that. If that is your skill is reading, if your skill is getting good grades, I don't care what it is. You don't have to have a PhD to be badass at a skill, right? I mean, it all comes from experience and what you apply, okay? So at the time, because I was so focused watching everything else, I thought school was boring. And because I knew that this is very hard to try to understand, but I'm going to try to break this down. Because I understood energy and vibration, and I could read people already as a child, like people's energy, I could already do that, okay? But you got to remember, when you go with your parents to church and you got grandparents that are preachers, and, your grandma's saying you got to be careful what you say because women aren't allowed to preach, okay? And you're a little girl, and they're cloning you to be this person, but yet you have these unique gifts. And I've seen some amazing things. I'll tell you one thing I've seen. I watched my mom, and this kid that this happened to is on my Facebook. I will protect the names of people, but if we ever want to get him on the show, he might even admit it. This kid, I got to watch that too. His dad is one of the biggest KKK members. He has a Santanical church or all that stuff in California. He's well known, okay? You could go in the streets and they know his name. The dude can melt spoons. He puts spells on people. He does things like that. He had I'm not going to mention any names right now. I just probably said too much even. But I'll tell you, I physically saw this kid get picked up and slammed against a brick wall. And all my mother did was turn and look at him like she didn't even give a shit. She saw him coming. That's what I saw when I was a little girl walking across the street. When you grow up with stuff like that and you see people that you love that are Christians manipulating energy, and then you're able to do it yourself, and then school tells you you're unique and you're different. Huh? Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't going to say anything, but maybe Kelly or Barbara may have a question. Do either of you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering, were you saying that when you were a little girl, did you have to keep it inside and quiet about how different you felt, and you knew that you were different, or could you tell your mom?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. My mom became really good friends with this teacher because my mom already knew these things, and she taught me. I was homeschooled, all these things. And the weird thing is, and this is another thing that people don't realize about your family members and stuff, okay? It was very hard growing up with my siblings because, you're all unique and you're different, right? And you know how they say stay close to your roots, right? Well, if everything is vibration and frequency, and you want to understand, the best way to flow and to live a full, fulfilling life, you want to understand vibration, flow, and frequency, because everything you put out is energy. And what you put out comes back to you in one form or another. If you're a positive feeling person on the inside and you amplify that, people see you as what? Positive and loving.
Yeah.
It's the energy. Did you ever walk into a room and they're pissed off and you can feel it? That's your energy field. It's a magnetic field coming. Imagine, magnets. You either come together and flow or you what? There's a reaction, right? That's alchemy, right? So, pardon me?
How many ways can it come back at you besides just feeling it? What kind of ways, for example? Give us some examples of ways that bad energy can come back to us.
Everything that you manifest, you can create. So if you say, I'm going to crash on my motorcycle, energy doesn't know right or wrong. It just knows the flow. So you can actually trick your mind, okay? This is a real big teaching, but and probably too much to cram. All right, so imagine you have your subconscious mind. And every day you wake up, you get your phone, you get on Facebook, you check the news, you do whatever you do, and it becomes your program, right? It becomes your state of consciousness of or where you like to flow, where your energy goes. And so in order to feel like you are in that comfort flow that you're used to, like every day at 9 a.m., or if you're a 5 a.m. meditator, you get up and you look for that vibration because it's familiar, right? In order for you to shift your consciousness or to create new thinking habits, you got to think with that 5% of your brain that you don't use to change and alter your subconscious. Because you are programmed and designed by the age 35, what you're doing is probably, or what you say you're going to do, is probably what you're going to end up doing. Because, you think that, when you get comfortable running through how do I explain this? Okay, so like 95% of the day, you run to that comfort zone. Whether it's good or bad, your body gets familiar and stays and it feels most comfortable at that vibration, because anything else, it alters what you're used to, right? Or it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? Well, in order to change, you have to get what? Uncomfortable, and use that little 5% of your brain that you might use during the day, which some people will say, oh, you tapped into your higher consciousness. Oh, she's using her third eye. Oh, she's psychic. No, everybody has the ability to tap into this 5%. But in order for you to do that, you got to, meditation. Meditation does what? That's a whole other topic too, huh?
And
I'm sorry, John.
Would you be okay if we took a caller?
Sure. Whatever you guys like to do.
Okay. This is a caller from area code 770. She's on the air right now. 770, have you been listening to the show?
I have. I really enjoyed the dialogue, most definitely.
Hi. And what is your name?
My name is Maddie. My name is Maddie. Yes.
Nice to meet you. So what would you like to talk about?
I didn't know if you were just doing a dialogue or you were answering questions.
I will answer questions. I'm here for wherever the show leads us. I believe that everything is supposed to flow the way that it goes, and we're just going to have a great show. So if you have questions, feel free to ask.
I'm going to say this. Could you just tell me what energy you're picking up around me at this present?
Well, I can tell you this. Right now, you're calling in for a reason, and you need to pay attention to what that is. If you go, do you meditate, or do you have a place in your house where you sit and you have your quiet time?
Yes. I'm pretty much of a quiet person per se. I go within a lot. Yes.
No, but when you have your alone time, when you're trying to focus or connect with your higher self, or to reach, do you have a spiritual background? Do you believe in Christianity, or what is your preference?
I feel as though I'm spiritual.
Spiritual. So, me too. But I was raised. It's really, really okay to be any religion, okay? Because the bottom line is we all came here with a purpose, okay? When the veil was lifted, we had soul connections with everybody in our lives. So it's really important, for people to realize that it doesn't really matter what religion you are, because when people start worrying about that, that's called what? Judgment. So spiritual is a wonderful way to express who you are. What I would say about you, Maddie, is I would say right now you're getting ready to make a real, how would I word that? You're getting ready to have insight on where you want to be, because you're calling and you're seeking the answer. If you're seeking something, you're going to find it, but you're going to find the answers to what you're looking for in your own timing, because we all think, I can tell you how I feel, and I can tell you what I predict, but at the end of the day, you have free will. The only person that can manifest anything for you or your future, good or bad, is you. See, religion got it all wrong. They, it's like, oh, this, you got that, you got this. You create and manifest. You are the co-creator of your reality. And if you fear, then you're doing what? You're putting fear into your own life. The key is, okay, there's 4 steps to shifting your consciousness, okay? You can do this exercise. You turn up your frequency. You set up your power, your intentions of love or above. You shift your energy to your actual desires, okay? You need to stay strong in what you want to manifest, and then you turn up your frequency to that feeling, and you surround yourself with what you want to manifest. So you're asking me, what do I pick up and what do I feel about you? I'm telling you that I feel that you're getting ready to make changes in your life because you're ready. Because if you weren't ready, you wouldn't be asking the questions. So how do you go about doing that? You sit quietly. You said that you like to have alone time, and there's a reason why you like to do that, or you go to that place, okay? Because you have an energy field, and when you stay, if you have things around you that are uncomfortable, or if you know your energy, and or if you're not aware of your energy, a lot of people become introverts because they don't understand, what they're feeling. Okay, religion has taught us that you got to do things a certain way and so, but until people really experience a spiritual experience, you could be book smart, you can get A's, and you can study it and you can teach on it, but hands-on experience and skill, there's no other experience better than that for yourself. So I would say, what do I get on you? I say I feel high vibration energy. I feel the more you go inwards and you take a look at what you want, take 1 or 2 things that you want to change and alter in your life. And by the 16th, I want you to look at that and say, okay, I'm going to put these things in my path, and I'm going to focus on them. This is just like tapping into that 5% of your conscious mind that you want to use. Okay, your subconscious mind is already programmed. You want to alter your subconscious mind. You have to get a little uncomfortable, and to change your wants or your life or to reach for anything, you have got to face your fear of what the reasons why you didn't do it before.
Okay. Very well put. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and right now, I mean, a lot of people don't believe in astrology, but I'll tell you what, even the Catholics, I'm not going to go there either. I'm going to say that astrology is very, very real. And if you can plant a seed, and if you think it helps you, and you think it leads to love and a better version of you, if you are vibrating at those words, those frequencies, then you will manifest it. It's quantum physics. It has to manifest, no matter what it is, okay? I don't care if it's good or bad. If you plant the seeds, you have cells, right? And cells produce memory. So what you're doing is you're stepping out of your subconscious, right? And you're tapping into your higher intuition. And the more you tap into your wants and desires, it becomes a part of your subconscious where you like to vibrate and you're used to feeling, so it becomes comfortable so you can create that new reality. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So in order, like I could say, I want to be a baller. Your subconscious mind can feel that emotion because it signals familiar chemicals, and that's a lot of brain talk. It's familiar to you, right? But in order for you to manifest it, you have got to use your conscious mind and say, how can I do this? And you have to shift your consciousness by doing the right things. And if you apply what you get put into anything, you will get back, no matter what it is. If you want to be, you could be anything you want. Listen, look at what I'm doing. I'd never leave my house in a pasta. I just decided to hit the circuit. I know what I know, but it's because I chose to create and manifest it, and I put the time in, and I have the skills. I don't have a PhD, and I have doctors that I've written books that I've interviewed with and met in person, and they're fascinated by my story because I've learned this as a child. But what you put in your life, no matter if it's good, bad, your body is your temple, right? And if you put good thoughts, love, joy, happiness, those things manifest. You gotta realize that one of the reasons why you are more of an introvert is because you're already aware of protecting your energy. You already got a heads up. You see what I'm saying? Because you're aware of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I
would say,
Ann, I have a question. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I really, truly believe in this, and I have willed myself to actually win in competition. But say there is like two, say, boxers, and they're in a boxing match, and one is way weaker than the other one physically, but he, the weaker, is more powerful with his mind. And I just am wondering the difference between physical, how much strength can overcome the thought, the manifestation thought. I don't get that, how that works.
The power of flow and energy. It depends on the two. For example, they're both in the ring and they both wanted to box. So they're both experiencing the same experience, right? Who is vibrating higher? Okay? You know what this comes from? You know how you become the better? It's because you get better at your skill. Okay? Like I could say, I want to go to school to be a dancer, and you could say you want to go to school to be a dancer, but let's say you dance till your feet bled, okay? We both wanted the same goal, right? And we both wanted to manifest the same thing, and we both can believe that we're putting 100% into it, right? But then that's you. You're dancing, your feet are bleeding, you're doing your research, and here I am. I want to be a dancer, but guess what? I'm going to go to the beach on Friday first. I'm going to go hang out with my girlfriends later today, and I'll study tonight, right? Well, we could both be dancers, but who do you think is going to manifest? You know what I'm saying now?
The one who is more prepared physically, too, so it works really together.
Yeah.
It really works together.
Anything you do to raise your vibration and frequency, like I said, has to come back. You see what I'm saying? You amplify what you put out. You see what I'm saying? You ever hear of that expression? If you go looking for trouble, you'll find it. Imagine a magnet. You'll find your competition, because everything in life that we experience is to help us evolve and to learn. When the veil goes up, you have a role to play here, and all the people in your life you chose to be in your life for whatever reason, to teach you something, because you got to remember, time is simultaneous. We live in a multi-universe, okay, multi-dimensional universe. When I do my channeling, I have credentials that say that I channel, and these are by TV evangelists. I've had their own assessors, or their own assessor teams look at one paper that I channeled, and they said there's no way you can have access to this unless you have direct connect to the apostles and prophets. And my credentials are legit. So when I tell you that when you apply your skill, the more you apply your skill, I don't give a shit if someone says, I have this trophy and I have this award. Whatever you apply, you're going to see the magnitude of what you amplify. What? I'm sorry. How can I help you? Yeah.
Sorry about this, but we have somebody that's the caller that's what apparently she says he's one of your friends. His name is Bob.
Yes. I have a lot of friends. I believe I know which one
Bob.
you're saying. Yes.
Bob, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing, Ann?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Nice to hear your voice
Terrific.
again.
Yes, I'm very happy you're doing your show. It's very good. I just want to answer a question that woman just asked you about two boxes. First of all, the physical can never overcome the mind. If two boxes are fighting together, who is, like you said, who is physically fit, who has worked the hardest at that particular profession will win. But you can't. The mind will never be overcome by physical, by anything physical, because the mind is what's all powerful, which makes us do what we have to do. Anyway, you're doing terrific, and you're a great seer.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you, working with you more as well.
Yeah, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I do tarot card reading, but I also do spiritual healing. I do Reiki and Chi. In my shop, which I have a place in Mount Dora at the flea market. I'm there every other weekend. I have a booth there. And there I do Chi for healing because I don't have a spot where people can lay down. And, of course, I do spiritual counseling as well. So it works out very well. I have a lot of happy people that come back and forth for healing and for counseling and, of course, for reading either tarot or angel oracle reading, stuff of that sort. But, yes, I did a lot of work in Casa Dega, which is, for the people that don't know, it's in Lake Helen here in Florida. And, it's terrific. I love it. My life is spiritual. This is what it's all about with me. I'm not a Christian, of course. I'm pagan. However, my life is spiritual. Besides that, my grandson is the most important thing in my life, and then it's spirituality.
Yes. And his experience, if you don't know anything about Casa Dega, that place is nationally known as a vortex for spiritual activity, and people come all around the world to go there to get educated or to learn different techniques and things for healing. And it's also a very scary place if you don't know what you're doing or who you're running with. Because, again, in this world, we have a lot of people that play with energy. But if you were to apply, even some of the things that Bob is saying, pardon me?
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All these techniques help you evolve and shift your consciousness. So, like, if you wanted to do things like work with energy, Reiki, like what Bob does, is a very good way to open up and do some of the things that I believe would be helpful for you, Barbara, even with, your talents. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful.
Yeah, I not only do Reiki, what I do is Chi as well, because that's where most of my healing ability comes. I've done it on you, so it's there. It's real, works very well. And I enjoy it. I also always enjoyed you because, you have a lot of insight. You have been seeing for many years. So you're very special. Also, you're very blessed. Now, everybody, like you said, has a certain amount of energy, but you have to really be blessed to use that energy. I have a person that came to me and said, well, we all have the spark. Well, we do all have the spark, but if you're not close to your gods and close to your goddesses or whatever God you believe in, like you said, this is where we get our power from. Like what I do, I would never take any credit for doing it because if it wasn't for my goddess who's bathed, Dr. Morgana, I couldn't do anything. So I always first give the thanks and the ability I know comes from my goddess and the spirits. And this is the way you should do things when you are developing stuff like you and I do. We have to be as spiritual as we possibly can and be neutral to everything, no matter what. You have to be able to understand every single person and not have any prejudice towards anything, especially when you're sitting down with a person. No matter what you believe, you have to turn it off, and you have to understand that particular person and the problems they're having so you can relate. And you know that because you do that very well.
Yeah, thank you. And that's because no two people can think the same. You know, you develop your own patterns, your own frequency, your own vibration, and what you share with others manifests. That's the bottom line. And you can create anything with that. But the key is always to apply, like Bob was saying, always from your heart center, from love. If you amplify love, you will get love back. That is the key, is to always, and when you go to channel or go to pray or go reach to your higher source, you always want to, I mean, there's different ways of doing it, like Bob was saying. I mean, in his belief, you know, or what he studies, I mean, when you go to start your meditation and stuff, I mean, don't you ask for surrounding of light and love and all that? And different people have different ways, or, you know, they say, some people don't even know how to connect, and it's very, very simple. If you just sit quietly, your higher consciousness will tap in. I mean, you'll tap in to your higher self automatically, and then you just need to sit quiet and listen. You understand? That's how that works.
Right. You, if you're meditating, you start by listening to your breathing, and even though we call it monkey mind, you start to think like, did I shut the refrigerator, the door, the lights? What you do is you keep going back to the breathing, because you have to. Our minds learn in repetition, and if you keep doing something, like when you're a kid learning how to spell, eventually you would train your mind to be able to concentrate on your meditation. But you also have to practice samadhi.
Mind, which becomes a habit, stays in your subconscious mind, so it's easier for you to go there the more you do it, because you're stimulating new cells, which is making new. Yes. Okay. Flow.
Yeah. And then samadhi is, the Buddhists call it the middle way. And samadhi is surrender to your gods. And when you surrender yourself to your gods or your goddess, and you surrender and you put everything in their hands, believe me, they will treat you like you wouldn't believe how it's like paradise. But you have to be able to surrender to them.
I have a question. Kelly,
sure.
You haven't had a chance to really say anything. Do you have any questions or anything on the subject, or?
I've been enjoying, everything that is coming to fruition here. I've been taking copious notes, and I'm really sitting in the flow, and and I do agree. Like when I've meditated, I call it hummingbird brain. It's like I'm trying to be quiet, but then all these dumb thoughts come in here, and it's like concentrating on the breath is basically the key, but it can seem like your mind wants to wander because
this is what
it's boring at first.
I don't need to cut down, but listen to me real quick. I'm going to answer your question. Or I'm going to answer this for you. This is very important. You got to remember, your higher self is saying, hey, you want to get grounded. So when you go to get grounded, right away, all the things that you have been battling and fighting, or all that vibration that's stagnant in you, or that's not helping you stay, with your flow. I'm sorry, I got a bug flying around me, and I'm trying to get it out of my meditation room. So what happens is all that, you'll have all these crazy thoughts at first. The trick is to just sit quiet, and those things will dissipate the more you get grounded in silence. So it's normal for all those things to always happen. And you could be thinking about the cats at the door, or I gotta go here. All that stuff's gonna come racing at you because you're seeking balance. So right away, you're asking for balance. So what you're doing is you're asking all these crazy emotions to come to you. But what happens is your subconscious mind, you ever have a dream and it doesn't make sense to you, but you have this dream and then you can relate it to it. So it's probably because of this or that. It's the same thing when you go into meditation. It's the fastest way that your body knows how to respond to what you're wanting to amplify. So it'll bring all these crazy thoughts that don't make no sense to you, but the more you sit through them, it doesn't matter. The subconscious mind is changing, and you're tapping into your higher consciousness, which is what some people say, your crown chakra. And what Bob was saying was very interesting about the meditations. You can actually go and do a samadhi meditation and just feel it and learn the breathing techniques, and you can become a master at that. And you'll be surprised. Once you learn how to meditate alters your consciousness. And if you have deep trauma, people that have had deep trauma, they are this is why I'm passionate about what I'm doing, because I want to do prison work, because people don't understand. You're sitting in there and you're quiet. You are in a place that you asked to be. You want to, if you want to change your life and you're not happy, sometimes crazy things need to happen so you can be put in a position where you can sit quiet and think. Because the only way you can tap into what you really want to desire and what you want to manifest is to go to that quiet little place and remove all the static so you can vibrate high. It's a choice to vibrate high. If someone comes in your face and they're not speaking positive, your energy field is your defense mechanism. You can actually look at them, and it's up to you to go to their level and their frequency. Imagine a radio station, okay? If you're vibrating at the radio station of I love myself, you will not tune in to that stuff, okay? It's a choice. So your defense mechanism, imagine it like that, your energy field is your protection, and you have free will. If you have somebody around you and you know they're no good and they're like, hey, I think you're cool, and you feel that feeling that you're used to feeling, and that your subconscious has got you already programmed to feel comfortable in, right? If you want to change your life, you will be tested. That person will show up in your life to test you, okay, because you asked the universe to change. So now let's say you want to quit drinking, and then all of a sudden the test comes. Bob calls and he says, hey, I'm going to go to the bar. I'm buying a drink. You have a choice. Oh, I'm going to come to the house. Can I bring some cocktails? Once you agree or to interact, spiritualists will interpret this many, many different ways. Different kind of mediums would interpret this as, interacting spirits. What you're doing is you're giving by your own free will, accepting whatever's running their show to play with what's running your show. So what you don't see is in the spiritual realm, your spirit guides are fighting your battles that you created by your own free will. So if you apply, you think with that 5% of center area that you can go to, which is paying attention to your higher self, the more you pay attention to that, you will get comfortable, and that'll become 95% of your everyday routine. But first, you got to realize when Bob calls, you got to go to that uncomfortable spot in order to manifest a new behavior, a new pattern. You see?
Did I say something? Am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob.
Let me say this. One of the most important things with anything in your life is not wanting, because everybody wants. You have to believe. If you want something, you have to truly believe you're going to get it. If you really believe, it comes to you. When you pray, you don't pray by saying, God, please help me, or God, please give me this. You don't do that. You thank to God for giving it to you even though you don't have it, because you believe that God's going to do it, and then you create it.
There first has to be a want, to be a desire. And when you chase that desire, you reach your dreams and your goals. You first have to want it, okay? You have to plant the thought and then create it. In order to create it, you have to want it first. So you have to apply
but you have to believe.
Manifestation. Oh, yeah, but that comes. The more you get, it's like tasting a piece of candy, and you really want another piece. If you close your eyes and you were to manifest that candy in your mouth and what it feels like, that juicy, sour taste, if you close your eyes, that vibration and frequency, if you want to keep feeling that, what you're feeling right now, that flow of energy, because we're constantly flowing energy, you have got to continue to go to that vibration, no matter what it is you choose out of your own free will. And you know how they always say, like, spiritual people, the Bible or religion will say, you fight, you are your own devil, and how where was I going with this? You know, you can create a situation in your life, okay, but you have complete power to fight anything that is negative in your path. Bob could probably give you a better understanding of that because he does more teachings that are familiar on that. Bob, do you want to fill on that? You know, like about catering to certain energy.
First of all, the idea is to keep yourself as pure as possible and believe in what you want. Really believe it. And I never stoop down to someone else's energy. I stay with mine. And I believe that anybody, no matter how bad they are, it doesn't matter, can be gotten to. And to make them understand. Because, see, when you go into a room and you feel very uncomfortable, you know that there's bad energy around you. However, you by going in there and talking to the other people and you have good energy, a lot of times it sort of starts to rub off and things are better. But it all starts, all this starts by what you believe is going to be there and what's going to happen. Because, like she was just saying, see, most of our brain, most of what we do is subconscious. And subconscious thoughts are not yours, believe it or not. They're what you learned. They're somebody else's thoughts. So you're using 1 to 5% of your brain on a normal basis. But as soon as you're driving down the street and you're going, I want this real bad, and then, you zone out for a minute, your subconscious takes you over and takes you home. But also,
because
if you want something bad, right, if you want something bad, if you really want it very badly, if you were taught when you were a child, like, you know what, you don't deserve that, you shouldn't have this, you learn this, what you learn. So every time you move from that thought of really wanting this strongly, your subconscious is going, forget about it. You ain't good enough to get it. So you have to reprogram your subconscious, by, and once you reprogram it and it starts to be your thoughts, it will work with you because the subconscious is actually the emotional mind. And the front part of your brain is the thinking mind. And we work by emotion. And that's why we have to change that. And like she was saying, change the vibration in our subconscious. And you do that meditation, it also wants it.
By being aware of your feelings. And the one thing about your energy is you're always protected if you choose to protect your energy. It's a choice. For example, let's say you're going to go, when I started learning about spiritualism and stuff, or different things, and about energy flow, they wanted to go to some Marilyn Manson concert, and they were talking about jumping in the mosh pit, all these kids, and I was like, wow, because it is true. It's better than going to church and everybody wanting to manifest the same thing. This is like really, really deep teachings. Like I could tell you about how, different things about Jesus walking on water. How did that happen? We could talk about that, but that's a different show. Okay? But really, what it's all about is the more the energy flows together, if there's two or more, or the energy is higher, or two people with high vibration come together, it amplifies no matter what it is. If you're in a mosh pit and you got one person, you add another person, you have a higher vibration of that negative energy. If you get to a situation where you're in love and you're in the atmosphere, I've done this with 33rd court groups, okay? And they were all pissed off because they were court-ordered out of prison. And I did readings for this class and profiled homicides for this class. And in there, what I was doing is I was showing them the same thing you're saying. If you set the vibration and the energy of love and you focus on that, you can actually amplify it to other people. And by their free will, if they want to join it, what you're doing is amplifying the room and amplifying the energy and the atmosphere. I had a whole room full of and these are tough people, okay? These are people that were out of prison or going to prison, or these people were paying $30-something a class to sit there, and sometimes they had to go 3 days a week or they were going back to prison, okay? And what happened is I was explaining to them about the flow of energy and all that. And at the end of, maybe a day, I had them all understanding why they were there, how to shift to a higher consciousness. And they were all we were all sitting there doing the wave, and they were all happy to be there because I was able to show them that if you flow, as long as it's in the positive way. Imagine if you're in a room, okay, as a spiritualist, because I see I won't say, we won't use, how would I use this word? Let's just say I can tell when there's a presence in the room. And we all have source around us. Imagine if you have your spirit guides, and then you have what comes up against you that you invited in your free will. In the spiritual realm, you got to remember witchcraft or the craft or whatever, because history says all different things about that, and it's been altered. You manifested by your own words. Anything you say has to manifest. And back in the day, religion said that was wrong, that was witchcraft. Well, how are we manifesting if we're not wishing and wanting it? See, the two contradict each other. So if you invited all this shit around you in the spiritual realm, your guides are fighting your battles along with everybody else. For example, in that room, imagine a spiritual battle. They're cleaning house. And if they clean house, you can flow healthy. But it's your own free will and your choice when you're in that vibration or in that flow to connect. Because you have free will. If you choose to sit there and be bitter and anger, then you're not learning. You're still going to be dealing with the lesson, and it doesn't get easier. It's no different than somebody that says, I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to stop robbing banks or something. I mean, this is the people I used to deal with, okay? And I know bank robbers. I know two of them. Anyways, one's in prison right now, and he's well known. But I'm just going to tell you that they didn't want to change, and now they're in prison, okay? So, and think about that. They wanted to change, but they didn't, and now they're in a place where they can sit silent, and they can get focused, and all the negative energy that's, all the stuff that was hindering them on the outside is not there anymore. You can change your reality right now. Time, we create it. Okay, so if you say, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be positive, you will, as long as you don't alter your section or alter Bob can step in on that.
And I want to say this, is that when it comes down, like I said, to belief, even though I'm not a Christian, I will tell you, Jesus said, those who have will receive more. Those who do not have will lose even more. When he said that, what he meant was those that truly, truly believe, well, things are going to be there for you because you believe it's going to happen. If you have no faith and you don't believe in anything, things don't never happen for you. This is what he meant by that. Because when they were
the same thing. I am
right.
that
So
I am.
This is
another thing.
Exactly. So this is the thing that you have to understand is that really the energy and everything is going to come to you. Everything will come to you. Once you understand and you believe and you go within and you look at yourself really good and know who you are, even if you're the biggest rat in the world, it doesn't matter. Because once you know who you are, you tweak it a little at a time. And then you start to change and you become a different person rather than maybe the bad guy you were. But first you have to go in and look internal and inside you and know who you are and love who you are. No matter how bad you are, you have to love who you are.
You have to go to your heart center.
Right.
And then things start to change and shift, and then you start living with energy and flow, and then you change and create a new future for yourself.
You tweak a little at a time until you become a new person.
Exactly, and that's another thing. And that's another thing about using your conscious mind and tapping in. See, it's a good thing to be to protect your energy. It's a good thing to be home if you're doing something that's helping you learn a skill to help you evolve into who you really want to be. Like if you were to close your eyes right now and envision, something that you wanted to do that you haven't done yet. If you were to close your eyes and think about that, the more attention you give to that, it becomes a natural feeling that you're used to, a familiar feeling. It's like riding a motorcycle. When you first get on, you're scared, but the more you do it, it becomes comfortable. The more you start to get comfortable in those new feelings, your mind doesn't know, energy doesn't know the difference of what, or your brain doesn't know the difference. It basically you already created and manifested it, if that makes sense. That's science. Hard to explain.
Yeah, well, you have to.
If you create
go
it,
for it.
brain doesn't know the difference of if it's already there or not there. So what happens, the more you tap in to applying that new way of living or that thing that you wanted in your future, your subconscious will be familiar with that vibration, and it'll flow real easy so you can operate and connect. And the universe will line you up with the people that flow at that vibration. Like I was saying, if you want to fight, and that's exactly true. Good, bad, positive. If you want to be a motivational speaker, you can sit back and boom, you can have one knock on your door in 5 freaking minutes.
You got to go for it.
Some other things. Exactly, but it's all a matter of where you resonate in your vibration. All right. You can do these things by taking the steps to surround yourself with what you feel will get you where you want to be next or manifest. Just like our caller, Maddie. I don't know if she's still on the line, but, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever you want the answers to, you already have them. You just have to sit quiet and tap into what the universe will bring you that challenge. For example, I know somebody who wanted to go to school in New York, and they wanted it so bad. And they said, when I get there, I'm going to live this lifestyle and all this, and I'm going to be this way. And so what happens is the universe is saying, okay, so look at it like that. And it's saying, okay, she wants all these things to manifest because by October she wants to be in New York and she wants to be in school. She wants to have a house. She wants to be settled. So what happens is the universe starts to throw all this stuff at you, good, bad, all those things that you got to learn to evolve and get to that place where you want to be. And that's where it gets uncomfortable. You ask for it, and now the universe brings it to you. What you do with it out of your own free will manifest either your desires or bring you another lesson, and it'll get harder. Just like I said with the bank robber issue, okay? You know, you want to get your shit together. This dude's already a multimillionaire. He has a big magazine even, and he's serving time. And that's his story. But at one time, if he would have made the right choices, you know, you see what I'm saying?
That's the idea of becoming spiritual and understanding and do things through the spirit. If you do things through the spirit, you'll do the right thing for humanity, for everything. But if you really want something badly, go for it. Learn about it. Just keep pushing in that direction. Like if you want to read cards, for instance, like I do, you got to practice every day and learn.
Everything is skill.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if people ever come to you, either one of you, and say, I don't know what to manifest. I don't have passion for anything. I don't know what I want. Do you help them find their passion and find?
Yeah, I do. I do spiritual counseling, and I help them find what they want. First of all, I find out what the problem is, why they feel this way. And usually we find out fairly quickly. And then I tell them how to go about getting things, and try to inspire them.
That's great.
Yeah, I know
because they didn't tell me once. They said, it's so great that you have a passion because I don't have a passion, they told me, and I don't know. And I thought there must be a way to find a passion for everybody if they don't feel one. You know, that's so sad. It made me so sad.
This is another thing. Do you hear what you just said? Somebody said that you didn't have a passion. If you choose to believe that, then you've already created the thought, so now you got to learn the lesson from it. Do you understand?
Right. And now you don't have it.
Somebody told them that they were telling me that they didn't have a passion. Nobody ever told them
well,
you don't have a passion.
The way you answer that is simple. Then what's happening, if somebody told you you don't have a passion, you're living with their reality, not yours. So we have to now shift you from their reality to your own reality. And then you can do what,
you know. That they didn't have a passion. They just said that they didn't feel a passion within themselves. They didn't feel one.
There always is. There always is a passion. They just might not realize it because of feeling bad, depression, or whatever it might be. So you sit with them. Ann does this, and you sort of life coach them. You talk to them. You dig into deep, find out what they do like, and then from there, you'd be surprised. They find out they've had a passion all along. They just didn't recognize it.
Oh, that's so good.
And it might be a passion.
You can actually sit with somebody in 5 minutes and know exactly what the problem is and heal them.
Right.
You just have to, that's just something this could be a whole show on its own that we could do.
That could be.
Yeah,
you see, the thing is, with passion, we all want something. I mean, the idea is to make a person, if you don't have any passion whatsoever, a lot of times you have a problem with yourself, maybe not liking yourself, or it just, people put you down so many times. You just feel like you're not worthy of doing anything. It's passionate. So what you do is you work with that person and make them understand. You like animals? Or is it just you love yourself? Your passion can be just the spirit. In loving, who you are, loving your child, loving your mother, whatever it might be. And then, and you create, it's right there in front of you. You're not recognizing it. It's standing there. But then what you do, and you can.
You're wiring and you're firing your brain to feel emotions, okay? And to follow through with that, you have to create something that is comfortable for you to alter and change. So the wiring and the emotions you feel is always going to flow in that direction. You see what we're saying? So
yes.
if somebody told you, or if you believed that you had no passion, I'm going to say this. This is scientifically proven too. A child until the age of 6, if you're a parent, and I seen this a long time ago. Parents telling their kids, "You're a bad kid. You're a bad kid." Till the age of 6, a child you're basically programming their consciousness and their belief system. So if you're telling your child negative things, when they become after the age of 6, when they start really, really using the conscious mind and applying what they learned from a child at the age of 2 can learn 3 foreign languages because of where they are as far as being able to, they're like sponges. So right now they're getting all the information they need to be an adult. So that's why we say words have power as well, because what you tell your children, they believe. And they take that little programming you gave them till they were till age 6, and then they take that whole childhood experience, and then they take that and they create their lives. So if you told them you're never, you were always poor, or we're never going to have money, or, whatever you tell your child, you're planting that belief system in them. And that's why I feel it's always really important when you're dealing with children, the things that you say to them, and parents don't realize that. I know people that are smart and that have degrees, that are doctors even, and I hear them tell their kids, you're being stupid. If you're telling a kid that they're stupid, you're planting the idea, especially if they're that age, that's what they're going to, and they're going to apply that to their lives because they've been taught that, at a young age. You understand?
Well, you're living then someone else's thoughts. That's why they say you're subconscious. You're living someone else's thoughts. So when you're doing something like making mistakes or thinking that you're bad, this is things that were programmed into your mind. So as you're going along, you're living somebody else's reality in a sense. That's why you have to reprogram yourself to where you're able to live your own thoughts by getting rid of what you were learned in your child.
We can go a little deeper with this. If you ever look at what somebody does as they're an adult, it usually it's from an experience of either trauma or an experience that brought them joy, but it was so horrific to them that that's what created their adulthood. Like, for example, if someone's an alcoholic and then the next thing you know, when they are in recovery, they become sponsors and then they become speakers. Right. I was raised in a spiritual home, and I had a lot of I had chairs flying across my floor. I've had things levitated. I've seen light beings in my house from age 7 and all kinds of other stuff. But my dad was real big into doing all kinds of stuff. I've had out-of-body experiences. But you got to remember, all these things, no matter what it is, I don't know. I was going to say.
I'm sorry, Ann. I gotta sign off because I got my grandson here. Very nice talking to you, everybody, and blessed be, and namaste.
Thank you for calling, Bob.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. So, like we were saying, everything that you want, the bottom line is, you're the co-creator of your own reality. and you could be anything that you want to be. You just have to learn to tune in to that radio station, and basically the universe will align those things in your path, because there's other people that are vibrating in frequency like me. I wanted to do a podcast show, and look, here comes Jonathan. Here comes Johnny. And right when I wanted to do it, here he shows up. The more you want something and the more you get a skill at something, or the more you practice it or get focused on it, I don't care what anybody tells you, especially if it's negative. You are the controller of your own tempo. Your own body, mind, and spirit is yours. And if you stay focused and centered on your heart and what's most important in amplifying that, you have an energy field around you that nothing can touch you. Nothing unless you allow it. So like, let's say you have a bad experience and you don't understand it. Well, you're still learning from that experience. How do you learn from an experience? You have to get a skill from it. You have to apply the skill, right? You have to apply you have to put the efforts into it to understand it. It's no different than, that's the same way, that's how you change your life or create new paths, or to get to that place where you want to be, you know, what you thought was what you were supposed to do in your life. In order to reach that goal, you have got to, you know, change your thinking, alter your consciousness, you know, through meditation and still time. And then the more you focus on those desires, they will show up. The universe has a real funny way, and I mean that, okay? I always wanted certain things. I always wanted a yellow Corvette, okay? And the day that I got real with some things in my life, and I was floored by this, I met a person, and right when I was right and centered in myself and focused on myself, that yellow Corvette pulled up in my damn driveway. And it was the exact same car that I wanted. I pulled $23,000 worth of money out to buy a car, and the guy who owned it wouldn't sell it to me because he said I wouldn't respect it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You won't sell me this car? He said, woman, this car will kill you. You get in it and get pissed off, and you won't appreciate it. So I always wanted it. So I was curious, why didn't I get it? Because I knew I could manifest things. And what I realized is I had to align myself, my heart centered, and the minute I got heart centered, that shit showed up at my front door. So people can't say you can't manifest your hearts and your desires. You just got to pay attention and get skilled at how to, the more you apply the want and the desire, the faster it will come to you. That shit will fall in your lap. I've seen it happen. I can prove it. You understand?
Wow.
Seriously.
What?
Anything. If it's good or bad, you created it. It can't exist unless you bring it into manifestation. I don't give a shit what it is. I was sitting in this exact same spot, and I wanted French silk pie. Do you know the universe will line the closest person that would bring that French silk pie to you, and if you want it bad enough, that person will show up. That morning, I got up. That night, I wanted French pie. I went to bed, and when I woke up, my best friend was driving 3 hours up north, turned around after a half an hour, an hour and a half up north to Jacksonville. She came back and brought me a French silk pie. And she said, I said, believe it. And I said, and my mom used to do this to me all the time because my mom used to practice telekinesis with me. When I was a child, she used to take me out on road trips and say, tell me where your dad is. Because my dad was like off the chain, okay? Because he, like I said, he was from Holland. You know, he grew up with Heineken in his bottle, and here he's in America, and everybody loved him because he was this little Dutchman. And so he got, you know, he would go out, and my mom would say, find your dad. And I could literally close my eyes and take her right to my dad. But I've been able to do that since I was about 5 or 6. So, you know, the power is within you. The deal is it's no different than anything. Experience, you know, you ever hear the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will show, the master will show. You can think you want something all day long and believe it and create it with your subconscious mind. But in order to manifest it, you have really got to just stay focused, do some grounding meditations, And I'm telling you, if there's anything you don't hear out of this whole talk, I would invest your time in grounding yourself and doing meditation and balancing your chakras. I had a Kundalini experience, didn't know what the hell it was, okay? And what happens is when you have a Kundalini experience, you're basically asked for guidance and understanding and all things through your consciousness, higher self, of what you don't understand. So I had an experience because I realized I was a healer. I had people have $350 a day drug habits, and I went and did a heal. I rubbed my hands together, didn't even know what the hell I was doing, was showing where to touch them on their bodies. They sat up out of a coma. They were going to amputate this dude's legs off, and I didn't even know the dude. And I was called because I see spirits and stuff, and people know me in my community, and they wanted to know if this dude was dying. So I went to go check on him. Right, this is what I do. And I do this for charity for over 27 years, okay? We could go all over the place with this show, but you can do anything you want. If you want to see angels, you can see angels, but you first have to know how to tune that channel in. You know what I mean? You have to first think it. In order to manifest it, you have to believe in it first. You have to feel that vibration. Sit quiet and imagine yourself where you want to be or what you want to do, okay? And you try to stay. The more you get used to that familiar vibration, this is the thing with spiritualists or people that know how to channel, because I could always do what I do, it's because I've been able to do it since childhood. When I got to school, I used to skip gym. This is a true story, in kindergarten, okay, another kindergarten story. They held me back in kindergarten because the school system had a program, and I didn't want to operate by at age 4. And my principal sat me down one day, and he says, this is what happened. I didn't want to go to gym class. Okay, you got to remember, I grew up in a place where it's all gangbangers and drugs, right? So you got kids that are at home that aren't having healthy experiences, right? So now you got me, my DNA is very, very pure, okay? If you know about my history, that's a whole other deal. But my energy, I always kept it very pure. So what I noticed, I was always aware of how to do that, okay? I put myself in situations as I learned, obviously. Obviously, if I had a pound of weed in my house to Kurt Cobain, I must have been a little adventurous in my life. But just saying, when I was a child, we would go to gym, and because my last name was at the end of the alphabet, the V, being Van Ireland, I would always, when they would line everybody up, I would always, on gym day, I would just cut out a line, and I would go into the library. And then when they would come back from gym class, I would get back in the line, and I didn't think anybody noticed me. But I, at 4 years old, refused to go to gym. And you want to know why? Because when we would go in there, and you're in a gym room, it's a auditorium. It amplifies sound, right? I could feel that as a kid. And because I could already pick up on other people's energy, because I had been able to see it since I was born, I could, if a child had anger and rage, I could feel it in them. So these kids that were at home, and they would come to school, and gym was a good thing, an outlet, those kids, we know this now, if you're broken, the victim always likes to, or the person that's being in a bad home life, for example, you have a child that's not happy and they see other children that are different. They don't know what they're feeling, but they're drawn to it, right? So being pure and being, more angelic and quiet and shy and aware of my energy, those kids that were, can't say jealous, envy, or that had broken homes, they would always single me out because of my purity. That's because they were jealous of what I didn't have. So the school system, for example, putting kids that are all different in a room like that and giving them a dodgeball that's bigger than their heads and saying, hit somebody with it, and you know what I mean? Can you imagine what you're doing when you're sending that ball to somebody? that energy you're throwing. So I literally, at 4 years old, I'm sitting there in class, and they say, we want you to go to the principal's office. And I sat down. My mom was there. The principal was there. And they said, we want to ask you why you don't go to gym class. And I told them exactly that at 4 freaking years old, that these kids, that I could feel their energy, and they were taking their anger and rage out at me. And I didn't understand how to explain it, because in school they don't talk about all that stuff. So, my stuff is home teaching. My mom taught me how to manifest things like that. I mean, and I have proven credentials to do it. When I was little, she told me she wanted pink pantyhose, and she wanted them so bad, she prayed for them. And the next thing you know, my dad, the next day, okay, now remember what we were talking about. The more you want them, the faster the universe will align that stuff. My dad was fighting like cats and dogs, okay? The next morning, my dad comes in at 5 o'clock in the morning and tosses on the kitchen table. Even though he was an asshole at times, he tossed on the kitchen table like 10 or 15 pairs of pink pantyhose. If that ain't enough to floor you, okay, my own husband, okay? His mom was murdered. It was all over the Detroit, all over the newspapers and stuff when he was a child. And he could never shift his reality past the feeling of not being there when his mom was murdered, okay? And his dad was a Detroit police officer, okay? He always wanted to hear he loved his dad say that he loved him, okay? But because his dad was raised the way he was, and he didn't learn any different, and he became who he was, obviously, like we were saying, because of his childhood, you can always tell what a person is doing today. It has to do with something from the past, and that's a whole other topic. But you know what I'm saying? So bad childhood, now he's a Detroit police officer, now he has my husband as a son. He never says, I love you. He carries this demeanor. He never evolved and shifted to his higher consciousness, his heart center. So, but my husband always wanted to hear, I love you from his father. And he always wanted to know where his mother was. And he always wanted to have an understanding of faith. And he also said this, I'm going to die before I turn 21. I know it. I know it. I know it. And when we moved here, I had a 9-month-old baby. My husband died before he was 21. And so he manifested it, and he created it out of his what? Belief system, and that was negative, right? Now check this. He told me, he would always say to me when we would fight, he would always say, wouldn't you feel bad if those were your last words to me? Wouldn't you feel bad? And because of my emotions and my reaction to what he said, and I felt that vibration and that energy. See, energy doesn't know good or bad. It just knows flow. I actually got a phone call from him, and we were separated, and he said, Ann, can I come and see the baby? And I said, fuck you, Michael, go to hell. Do you know that was the last conversation I had with my husband? And he told me every single time we would fight, when he would get pissed and leave the house, he would tell me, wouldn't you feel bad if those were your last words to me? And look what happened. I manifest them. He manifested his own death. On top of that, he also asked for some good things. When this happened, my sister, okay, she's real deep in her faith, and until she has certain experiences, and she has, she's learning at her own pace, which she chose to do, which we all choose to do when we come here, okay, is to learn and evolve and help teach love. So what happened is she had an experience the night he died. She came to me the next day, and my husband had a conversation with me before he died. He used to work for a guy who was a carpenter, and he was a real strong Catholic. And Michael was put in private schools when he was a kid, and a Catholic school. And so when his mom was murdered and all stuff happened, he wanted to know about his faith. So before he died, check this out. Spirit, everything was aligned perfectly, okay? If you want to talk about your life being written to the T, check this out. So before he died, a week before he died, he started working for a carpenter who took him back to church, made him rededicate himself to his own belief system, okay? So in his own heart, he was ready to roll out if anything happened, okay? He didn't know what was going to happen. And he said to me, Ann, he said, I wonder where my mom is. And we had this conversation. The day he died, that night, my sister said that he came to her in a dream, and he said he wanted her to give a message to me, that when I thought I knew things, that I was always right. So I used to tell him things all the time, you know, and that he knew where his mom was, and that, and a few other things that are very private and personal to me. But how is it that my sister could tell me that and not know that we had that conversation? And my point being is that everything that he wanted to create in his life, even his wishes and desires and his own death, happened exactly the way he manifested it.
Wow.
See what I'm?
Well,
so when you talk and you ask questions, you already have the answers. You just have to act and respond, get uncomfortable, and then wait for the universe to line up what you want to manifest. Because no matter what it is, you are an energy field, and it will amplify depending on what you cater to. You understand? Good or bad. Ever say, I'm going to get a ticket? Oh, I'm going to get a ticket. The energy doesn't know, but you just brought that ticket to yourself. You see what I'm saying? And then it happens. But if you change your psyche right away and you say no, that's something that's important to always speak positive. Or if you're around people that are speaking negative, you can't grow. You'll get a lesson, but they're not going to help you evolve. They'll teach you to be stronger, and you will. But if you want to get your shit together, you got to clean the shit out of your life. And when you ask for it, I know a person that's on this call with us who said, wow, this is going on in my life right now. But you got to realize you wanted this, and now it's manifesting. If you stay on the true inner path, your inner path that you believe, you will go there.
I've seen that happen a lot. Like people that do like a pros and cons list, because you've already put the cons out there, you're already manifesting it.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it really opens your eyes. People would tap into their hopes and desires and what's important and why they feel a purpose for their being here. You could change the whole world in one generation if we taught children this, to just pay attention to where they feel loved. And you teach them that, then you can change, the reality. We create our own reality. We can help our children by just speaking positive around them and introducing things that are new and creative. And that's another thing. Telling children who they should be and not to use their imagination and not to be creative is wrong, because you're not allowing them to be who they truly feel comfortable as. And as a child, they already know that before they get programmed by what they're taught, like in school, right? That was all wrong what I shared with you guys, because I already knew it. If you stay true, or if you teach a child, like I was taught to stay, and I just kind of knew it. And the thing is we already know what's inside there. We have just got to get real and get real uncomfortable, and things will change in your life, always for the better. Always for the better. If you're wanting the better, the more you want the better, the faster it will show up and just drop in your lap. It's a scientific fact. It's quantum physics. Anything you create, anything you say already exists. You just have to put it out there.
And I think we ran a little over, but there was I don't want it to get to a point where they're going to. If we go to a certain point, they cut us off. But it's been great having you on.
Yes,
wow,
thank you.
Is that time already? Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
This has been huge. This is really huge revelation.
Yeah, and if I can say anything, you guys, sit quiet tonight, especially now because you're all vibrating real high. You all feel good, and we're all sharing this energy flow. We're like We're all connected, right? We're all connected on the same level here, okay? So what you got to do now is when we get off this call, think, all right? Think for a minute about what you learned from this experience, okay? Because this is how we evolve and become better versions of ourselves, right? So when you get done with this, you get their purpose. So now you got to take the time and not let your 95% of your normal comfort zone, like, oh, it's bedtime, it's 8 o'clock, I got to do this. You have to stop now and think about this conversation because you manifested it and now we did it. So now you got to think about why. I want you guys to take those thoughts and put them, write them on a piece of paper and look at them and think about how you can critique that into your life, okay? And when you take what you learned from this experience, try to apply it as much as you can, and these things will manifest. I don't give a shit what it is. Watch, and we'll have another show, and you will be back on it, and you will tell me the exact same thing I just told you. 100% positive.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, well,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much,
coming
Aaron.
on.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for
Thanks,
having
everybody.
me. I appreciate you. Okay, until then, I love you guys.
Thank
Peace
you, Barbara.
and love.
Love you.